When my Honda died in front of Thunder Road Tavern, the most notorious biker bar in Millbrook, I thought my biggest problem was getting home safely. I never expected Jake Thompson and his Thunder Road riders to be the kindest people I'd met in years, or that they were desperately trying to save Jake's 8-year-old grandson Tommy from brain cancer. What happened when I learned about their fight and decided to organize a fundraiser at their own bar would transform our entire community and teach me that the most beautiful hearts often come in the most unexpected packages. Hi everyone, welcome to Life's Changing Stories. Now, let's dive into today's story. Dorothy Sullivan had spent 43 years teaching kindergarten at Millbrook Elementary, guiding thousands of 5-year-olds through their first school experiences with the patience and wisdom that made her a beloved figure in the community. At 68, 2 years into retirement and 3 years widowed, she had settled into a quiet routine of volunteer work, church activities, and weekly visits with her grandchildren who lived 2 states away. Dorothy's evening routine rarely varied. After her weekly visit to the Millbrook Community Center, where she helped with adult literacy classes, she would drive home along the familiar streets of her peaceful neighborhood, perhaps stopping at the grocery store or pharmacy if needed. Her 12-year-old Honda Civic had been reliable for over a decade, requiring only routine maintenance and occasional minor repairs that her late husband Harold would have handled himself. On a particularly dark November evening, construction on Main Street forced Dorothy to detour through an area of Millbrook she typically avoided, not out of any specific fear, but simply because her normal routes didn't take her past the industrial buildings, auto repair shops, and establishments that catered to a clientele quite different from her church friends and former teaching colleagues. As Dorothy navigated the unfamiliar streets, following yellow construction signs that seemed to lead her deeper into territory she didn't recognize, her Honda began making troubling sounds. The engine coughed, the steering wheel vibrated, and steam began seeping from under the hood with increasing intensity. By the time Dorothy realized her car was about to break down completely, she was directly in front of Thunder Road Tavern, a large, weathered building with dozens of motorcycles parked outside, and the kind of reputation that made respectable citizens like Dorothy choose alternate routes. The neon sign flickered ominously, casting red and blue shadows across the Harley-Davidsons lined up like mechanical stallions waiting for their riders. Dorothy's Honda shuddered to a final stop with a wheeze that sounded like defeat. Steam poured from under the hood, and when she turned the key, nothing happened except a clicking sound that confirmed her worst fears. She was stranded in front of the most intimidating establishment in Millbrook, with a dead cell phone and no way to call for help. Darkness had fallen while she struggled with her failing car, and the November air carried the chill that made her grateful for her warm coat. Through the tavern's windows, she could see silhouettes of large men in leather vests, and the sound of rock music and boisterous conversation drifted into the parking lot every time the door opened. Dorothy sat in her disabled Honda, trying to decide whether to walk to find a phone or wait for a passing police car, when she noticed 3 large men emerging from Thunder Road Tavern. They wore leather vests covered with patches, their arms decorated with tattoos that were visible even in the dim streetlight. Dorothy's heart began racing as they approached her car, and she instinctively checked that her doors were locked. The largest of the 3 men, with a gray beard and arms that suggested years of manual labor, approached her driver's side window and made a gentle knocking motion. His expression was concerned rather than threatening, and something about his demeanor convinced Dorothy to lower her window a few inches. "Ma'am, are you all right?" the man asked, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Looks like you might be having some car trouble." Dorothy's voice came out more steadily than she had expected. "Yes, my car just died, and I'm afraid I don't know much about engines, My phone is dead too, so I can't call for help. Mind if I take a look? The man asked. I'm Jake Thompson, and I'm pretty good with engines. Might be something simple we can fix right here. A younger man, probably in his 30s, stepped forward with a reassuring smile. Jake's being modest, ma'am. He's the best mechanic in 3 counties. If anyone can get you running again, it's him. Dorothy studied Jake's face and found genuine kindness in his eyes, despite his intimidating appearance. I would be very grateful if you could take a look. I'm Dorothy Sullivan. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Sullivan, Jake said warmly. This here's Danny Rodriguez, and back there is Sam Wilson. Why don't you pop the hood and let's see what we're dealing with? Dorothy pulled the hood release and stepped out of her car, immediately noticing the Thunder Road Riders MC patch, clearly displayed on Jake's leather vest. She had heard stories about motorcycle clubs, most of them involving violence and criminal activity, but Jake's polite demeanor and professional approach to diagnosing her car problem challenged her preconceptions. Jake quickly identified the problem as a blown radiator hose, a common issue with older Honda models that could be temporarily patched to get her home safely. This is actually good news, he told Dorothy. It's not expensive to fix permanently, and we can get you running tonight with a temporary repair. Danny volunteered to get Jake's toolbox from inside the tavern, and within minutes, nearly half the bar's patrons had streamed outside to help. Dorothy watched in amazement as the leather-clad bikers organized themselves efficiently, bringing portable work lights, radiator fluid, and tools with the precision of a military operation. A woman named Rita, who introduced herself as Jake's wife and the boss lady around here, brought Dorothy a folding chair and offered her coffee or water while she waited. Rita's warm smile and obvious concern for Dorothy's comfort further challenged the stereotypes that had shaped Dorothy's expectations about biker culture. As the Thunder Road Riders worked on her car with focused competence and good humor, Dorothy found herself in conversation with Beth, a woman about her own age who had settled into the chair next to her with the easy familiarity of someone accustomed to roadside mechanical emergencies. Are you from around here? Beth asked, offering Dorothy a homemade cookie from a container she had retrieved from one of the motorcycles. I've lived in Millbrook for over 40 years, Dorothy replied. I taught kindergarten at Millbrook Elementary until I retired 2 years ago. Beth's face lit up with recognition. You're Mrs. Sullivan. You taught my son Kevin Murphy back in 2001. He still talks about the reading corner you created with all the stuffed animals and how you made every child feel special. Dorothy remembered Kevin immediately, a shy boy who had blossomed under encouragement and become one of her most enthusiastic students. Kevin Murphy, he was such a sweet child. How is he doing now? He's a paramedic, Beth said proudly. He says, you're the reason he learned to love learning. He credits you with giving him the confidence to succeed in school. As they talked, Dorothy learned that many of the Thunder Road Riders were regular people with conventional jobs and families. Jake owned a Harley-Davidson dealership. Danny was a registered nurse at Millbrook General Hospital. Sam was a retired firefighter, and Beth herself was a former high school English teacher who had married into the motorcycle community and discovered a family bound by loyalty and mutual support. People see the leather and the bikes, and they make assumptions, Beth explained. But this club is really just a group of friends who love motorcycles and take care of each other. We organize charity rides, help families in need, and volunteer for community events. The tough image keeps out troublemakers, but inside, we're just people who found our tribe. As Jake finished the radiator repair, his cell phone rang with a call that clearly disturbed him. Dorothy watched his expression change from satisfaction with the completed repair to worry and barely controlled emotion. That was my daughter-in-law, Sarah, Jake told Rita quietly, though Dorothy could overhear their conversation. Little Tommy's fever is up again, and they're taking him back to the hospital tonight. Beth leaned over to explain the situation to Dorothy. Jake's 8-year-old grandson Tommy is fighting brain cancer. The little guy has been through surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, everything the doctors could try. Now there's an experimental treatment in Denver that could save his life, but insurance won't cover it because it's still in clinical trials. Dorothy felt her heart constrict as she understood the magnitude of what Jake's family was facing. How much does the treatment cost? $10,000 plus travel and lodging expenses, Beth replied. Jake's son, Big Tommy, works construction and picks up extra jobs whenever possible, but they're still about $7,000 short of what they need. The treatment is scheduled for next month, so they're running out of time. Jake returned to the group, visibly trying to compose himself. When Dorothy thanked him for fixing her car and offered to pay for his time and materials, Jake waved dismissively. "No payment necessary, Mrs. Sullivan. Maybe just help someone extra at the community center instead. That's payment enough." Dorothy gave Jake her phone number and insisted that he call if there was ever anything she could do to help his family. As she drove home, her car running smoothly thanks to Jake's expertise, Dorothy realized that everything she thought she knew about the Thunder Road Riders had been wrong. The next morning, Dorothy called Pastor Williams at First Methodist Church and requested an urgent meeting. Pastor Williams had been leading the congregation for 15 years and knew Dorothy as one of their most dedicated members, so he agreed to see her immediately. "Pastor, I need to tell you about something that happened last night," Dorothy began, recounting her breakdown, the bikers' help, and her discovery of little Tommy's situation. These people were kind, decent folks who helped a stranger in need. They didn't ask for anything in return, and they're facing a crisis that would break most families. Pastor Williams listened thoughtfully as Dorothy proposed organizing a fundraiser for Tommy's treatment. "Dorothy, I admire your compassion, but organizing a church fundraiser for a motorcycle club might be challenging. Some of our members have strong feelings about that establishment and the people associated with it." "That's exactly why we need to do this," Dorothy replied firmly. "If we truly believe in Christian love and helping our neighbors, then we can't pick and choose which neighbors deserve our help based on how they dress or where they spend their time." Pastor Williams agreed to support the fundraiser, and Dorothy immediately began forming a committee. She spent the next week visiting church members, sharing Tommy's story and the kindness she had experienced from the Thunder Road Riders. Some members were skeptical, but Dorothy's passion and the specific details about Tommy's medical needs gradually won them over. "I'm not asking you to approve of everything about the Thunder Road Tavern," Dorothy told hesitant committee members. "I'm asking you to help save a child's life and maybe build some bridges in our community." Pastor Williams suggested that Dorothy inform the bikers about the fundraiser personally, both as a courtesy and as an opportunity to strengthen the community connections she was trying to build. The following evening, Dorothy returned to Thunder Road Tavern, finding it less intimidating now that she understood the people inside. She found Beth near the bar and asked to speak with Jake, who was in the back office handling paperwork for his dealership. Jake was surprised but pleased to see Dorothy again. "Mrs. Sullivan, how's the Honda running?" "Perfectly, thanks to you," Dorothy replied. "Jake, I hope you won't be offended, but I know about Tommy's situation and my church wants to organize a fundraiser to help with his treatment costs." Jake's expression immediately became guarded. "That's very kind, Mrs. Sullivan, but we don't need charity. The Thunder Road Riders take care of our own." Dorothy had expected this response and was prepared with her counter-argument. "Jake, this isn't charity. This is community. When my car broke down, you didn't hesitate to help me. Now it's my turn to help you. You gave me your time and expertise for free. Let me give you mine." Jake struggled visibly with the offer, his pride warring with his desperation to save his grandson. Finally, he nodded slowly. "For Tommy, I'll accept the help, and if there's anything the club can do, security, setup, cleanup, just let us know." Dorothy took a deep breath and made her most audacious suggestion. "Actually, I was hoping we could hold the fundraiser here at Thunder Road Tavern." Jake stared at her in surprise. "Here? You want to bring your church people here?" "I want to give our community members a chance to see this place as it really is," Dorothy explained. "And I want to show them the same kindness you showed me." Jake considered the proposal and slowly smiled. "Mrs. Sullivan, you might just be the bravest woman in Millbrook." 2 weeks later, the Thunder Road Tavern was transformed into the most unlikely fundraiser venue in Millbrook's history. The Thunder Road Riders had spent days cleaning, decorating, and organizing silent auction items donated by local businesses and club members. The intimidating bar had become a welcoming event space that showcased the creativity and dedication of people who knew how to work together toward a common goal. Church members arrived with initial hesitation, but quickly found common ground with the bikers. Conversations about motorcycles led to discussions about grandchildren, shared experiences in military service, and mutual concerns about community issues. The artificial barriers that had divided Millbrook began dissolving as people discovered their shared humanity. Little Tommy attended the fundraiser in a wheelchair, thin from chemotherapy, but with bright eyes that charmed everyone he met. He was fascinated by the motorcycles, delighted by the attention from new friends, and completely unaware that he was the reason for this remarkable gathering of people who had never spoken to each other before. The fundraiser exceeded all expectations, raising nearly $15,000, $5,000 more than Tommy's treatment required. The extra money was designated for a fund to help other children facing medical crises, ensuring that Tommy's struggle would help other families in similar situations. Jake expressed his gratitude to Dorothy with tears in his eyes, but Dorothy reminded him that she was simply returning the favor from the night her car broke down. "You helped me when I needed it most," she said. "This is just my way of helping you when you need it most." The success of Tommy's fundraiser established a tradition that continued annually, with each event benefiting different children and families facing medical emergencies. Dorothy became a regular at Thunder Road Tavern, bringing homemade cookies and maintaining friendships that enriched her retirement in ways she had never expected. The tavern's reputation gradually changed as community members discovered the welcoming atmosphere and genuine warmth of the Thunder Road Riders. New customers began frequenting the establishment, drawn by the friendliness and the knowledge that they were supporting people who genuinely cared about their community. A year later, the Thunder Road Riders presented Dorothy with a custom leather vest embroidered with honorary Thunder Road Rider and teacher Dorothy Sullivan. She wore it proudly to church functions, community events, and her weekly visits to the tavern, serving as a bridge between communities that had previously viewed each other with suspicion and misunderstanding. Tommy's treatment was successful, and he returned to Millbrook as a healthy, energetic boy who credited Grandma Dorothy with saving his life. Jake's gratitude never dimmed, and he often told people that Dorothy had taught him that angels sometimes come disguised as retired kindergarten teachers with broken-down cars. The transformation of Thunder Road Tavern from notorious biker bar to community gathering place proved that kindness could dissolve artificial boundaries and create connections between people who had more in common than they realized. Dorothy's willingness to look beyond appearances and stereotypes had not only saved a child's life, but had enriched an entire community. Her experience with the Thunder Road Riders taught Dorothy that the most beautiful hearts often come in unexpected packages, and that judging people by their appearance or reputation blinds us to the kindness, generosity, and love that exists in every corner of our communities. Sometimes the people we fear the most are the ones who can teach us the most about courage, loyalty, and what it truly means to help our neighbors. Years later, when former students would visit Dorothy and comment on the life lessons she had taught them in kindergarten, she would smile and tell them about the night her car broke down, and how a group of leather-wearing bikers had taught her that the most important lessons often come when we least expect them, from people we thought we had nothing in common with. The Thunder Road Riders had shown Dorothy that family isn't always about blood relations. Sometimes it's about people who choose to stand together when life gets difficult. And Dorothy had shown the Thunder Road Riders that community acceptance doesn't require changing who you are. It requires finding people who are willing to see who you really are underneath the surface assumptions. Tommy grew up knowing that he owed his life not just to medical treatment, but to the kindness of strangers who became family, the courage of a woman who refused to let fear override compassion, and the power of a community that learned to see beyond stereotypes to the shared humanity that connects us all. We hope you enjoyed today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications.